much.
Yeah, bafethu, I've got Mark la, Mark Huskins. I hope yamkhumbula Swallows, Supersport. Yeah, vets.
You must mention Cosmos because that's where it started. Cosmos is where it started.
It started at Cosmos.
That's where it started. I guess of all my teams, I think Cosmos probably holds the dearest place in my heart purely because it's where it started. And a lot of people don't believe me, but I was actually a Cosmos supporter before I even played there.
Is it?
I did.
And how did you convince Braje from being a supporter now? I just wanna be a player.
Nobody really knew I was a supporter, but like even Braje, I think this might come as news to him, but I remember distinctly there was one game I watched because my family all supported Kaizer Chiefs. There was one game I watched, Swallows versus Cosmos. Swallows were obviously a bigger team at the time, but I remember seeing a young Brian Sabapole, Tiko Bukwane.
Tiko.
There were all these youngsters, man, and they were doing the business against Swallows, and I said, no, this is the team I want to support. It's just coincidental. It wasn't a case of like, I support them, this is definitely the team I want to play for. It's just coincidental that I actually ended up starting my career at Cosmos, but it's a team that, yeah, obviously I have
it's
the
in your
fondest
heart,
memories.
man.
It's yeah, very.
Were you there when Lucky Mhlatu was still playing there?
Lucky and I started. We started together in the under-19 team.
Oh, okay.
Myself, Lucky, Innocent Ntume, Bamuza, Terminator, Mabalane.
Terminator team.
We had a top team. Eh? You didn't want to face our under-19
That was the
team.
top team. You know,
we were deadly.
I'm even checking your hand because Taslaga Mhlatu will always show us his ring that, hey, Baba, we won the Coca-Cola Cup.
I have my Coke Cup. I have my Coke Cup ring. I don't wear it, but it's at home. It's part of my medal chest.
You know, I always laugh when Mhlatu speaks about this. He says, whenever you guys were going to play Kaizer Chiefs, Braje will write on his drawing board to say, okay, Lucky, this is Jabu Puli. You deal with Jabu. It looks like Jabu was giving me a lot of problems back in the days.
I mean, if you look over the years, there's been a lot of players that you can say. The thing at Cosmos, that's unfortunately how we did things. So everyone had a man they were assigned to.
Oh, okay.
Lucky had the unfortunate task a lot of times of
to
being
deal with the
assigned
Jabu.
With Jabu. And Semi Makhalifa will tell you stories about having to deal in the cup final. Remember, we had back-to-back cup finals in the Coke Cup. They beat us 5-0 in the first season. The second season, we won 1-0 with a Tiko goal. And Sammy was actually assigned to Jabu that day. And he did a good job. I think he shut him down that day. We ended up winning 1-0. And the rest is history. But yes, unfortunately, there were a lot of players around the league that were top players that, you know, got special assignments. That was the way of Cosmos.
And looking back then and comparing with today, what do you think? Are we growing? Are we getting better?
You know, a lot of people speak about this. I don't think that the South African footballer has gotten worse. I think we still have abundance of talent in this country. I think we're a bit behind what the rest of the world is doing.
Okay.
So in terms of our development, so when you look, and a lot of people say the 96 team, because every comparison that is made to the 96 team. In 1996, football was nowhere near what it is today.
Yes.
The game has evolved exponentially, and so where the game is today, you know, the game is more technical, more tactical, and I don't think we've evolved at the same pace as the rest of the world, and that's why maybe now the modern footballer, South African footballer, looks like we're behind the pace of the rest of the world. I think it's purely just down to our development structures haven't really gone at the pace the rest of the world has.
Okay.
I think we are catching up now. I think we still a few years behind the rest of the world.
But we are catching up.
It's not going to take, if we 10 years, a lot of people say we're about 10 years behind the rest of the world. It's not going to take us 10 years to catch up, but we need to catch up. And then you'll see the South African footballer is still on par with any footballer in the world. I believe that we have some of the best, amazing, naturally gifted, talented footballers in the world. I believe we're on par with the Brazils, the Argentinians, whatever you want to call the most naturally gifted, the Spanish and the Portuguese. But if we get our development structures on par with what the rest of the world is doing, I believe that South Africa can still be a powerhouse in international football, not just African football. I believe we're on the right trajectory now, because you can see we're competing beautifully on the continent. But I believe we need to be among the front runners, the leading nations in global football. And we just need to do the right things at grassroots, going all the way through.
You're talking about grassroots. At some point, you also went down on the on the grassroots, dealing with the young boys, coaching the young boys. Surely there is talent in the township.
Yeah, again, we speak abundance of talent. Like, it's mind-blowing when you go to the townships and you see. Right now I'm coaching in Maikasi. I'm from Eldos. If anyone doesn't know, it's south of Joburg. That's where I'm from. I grew up. That's where I learned my trade, on the streets of Eldos. Right now in Eldos, there's amazing talent. But unfortunately, it takes more than just talent. The infrastructure is a big problem in this country. Coaching education, we're still not where we need to be. So the average coach in our Kasis, in our community, are they at the level that they need to be in order to groom that talent? I think we've fallen slightly short there. And no disrespect to our coaches, because when you look at the coaches in our communities, I take my hat off to them, because nobody gives them anything. They love the game enough that they sacrifice their time, their money, their energy. Their families have to sacrifice, because they find themselves on the field when they could be with their own kids and with their own families. They're doing so much for the community. But that's why, as a footballing nation, have we done justice to them? Are we doing enough to upskill them, to really get the next generation of footballers at the standard, at the level that they need to be? I think we've fallen a bit short. And so we've not only failed our footballers, we've also failed the aspiring coaches of this country. And not just senior level coaches. I'm talking about grassroots coaches, because that's actually the most important level. And so Arsene Wenger says, it is better to have no coach between the ages of 5 and 12 than to have a bad coach. It's better to have no coaching whatsoever than to have a bad coach between the ages of 5 and 12. And that speaks to exactly what I'm saying. And so we need to upskill the level of coaching at grassroots level. Infrastructure. When you look at the fields that our kids are playing on week in, week out, it's amazing that they can do what they do on the fields that we play on. We need to improve our infrastructure as well. There's so many things we can speak about. Coaching, infrastructure, and then access to facilities, access to opportunities. We need to improve those things. And the custodian of our football obviously is responsible for that. And so there's a lot we can improve on. Hopefully with time we'll do that.
But I think having DSTV Diski Challenge has also helped us in terms of equipping our coaches, whereby here you are a player, a former player, still trying to get to know how these coaching things work, because when you are a player and when you are a coach, it's two different things.
So again, we speak about grassroots.
Yes.
DSTV Diski Challenge is an under-21 league. That's not grassroots football.
No, I'm just saying the transition. Yes.
The transition, yes. But again, at that level, how many coaches can coach at that level? Only 16. There's only 16 teams in that league. There's, a lot of aspiring coaches. And so there's so many more structures that we can, get right, where coaches can be employed. For me, the biggest point of failure is the schooling system.
Okay.
School football is, I don't want to say it's non-existent, but it's nowhere near where it should be, because the way I say it, not every child has access to a top level team that they can play for.
That's true.
But every child goes to school. Just about every child goes to school. Now imagine if we had top level coaches, we upskilled. Let's talk about former players.
Yes.
There's hundreds of former players out there. But there's only 16 jobs in the PSL, 16 jobs in the NFD, DSTV Diski, there's only 16 jobs.
Very limited.
But imagine if we upskilled all these former footballers, and not just the footballers. There's a lot of aspiring coaches who didn't play football. If we upskill them and we place them strategically at schools, and we up the level of school football, now imagine the pool of talent that we have to choose from. It goes up exponentially, because the level of coaching increases at the school. The quality of the product that comes out of the school system is gone higher. That means the pool of talent that we get to choose from is far much higher than what it is right now. And so there's so many different avenues and ways to really improve our football as a whole. Grassroots, we're speaking about primary school into the high school system, and then obviously into maybe the professional ranks or the professional academies. Now even the professional academies have a bigger pool of talent to choose from, where they can go and scout at school tournaments and whatever the case may be. But increasing the level of coaching, the quality of coaching at grassroots level, we're going to get a bigger pool of talent coming through, a bigger pool of talent to choose from, and you'll see it. Now we're fighting at the top level. The top level players will all have to fight it out at the top, but the pool of talent will increase, and that is the big thing. Because how many gems, how many Rile Mofokengs do we not know in Kimberley, in Mafikeng, in all these different towns where there is no professional academy? How many players are falling through the cracks simply because there's no structure for them to go to? But every one of them goes to school. So if we get the schooling system right and the school football system right, maybe they'll have a chance. And that's the little things that we need to refine and get right in our country. But it's a work in progress. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, but there are ways to get around it.
You're talking about talent. What do you think about Shendri Campbell, Lupumulo Sifumba, used to play for Cape Town City, surely you know him, Mufukeng as well. Those are one of the gems. You're talking about the players in the township.
Okay,
we can get more of those players.
No, for sure. I mean, these players are diamond. In our country, these players you can find just about on every street corner. I tell you, I'm busy in Eldos now. There's some crazy talent that's coming out there. Hopefully we can try and get them the right opportunities to be recognized. But there's talent everywhere. You can go anywhere in this country and find exceptional talent. I have to give credit. There's two structures that I think are doing phenomenal work that don't get the credit they deserve. One being School of Excellence.
Okay.
The other being Ubuntu Football Club in Cape Town.
In Cape Town.
Ocean View in Cape Town. I think when you look at
they are producing gems, those guys.
When you look at the talent that has come from those two structures.
It's sensational players.
Top level players have come from those structures, and they don't get the credit they deserve. And so why don't we have...
And Stellenbosch is also reaping from there.
No. Yeah, Stellenbosch is, I mean, there's quite a few Ubuntu players there. Cape Town City, there's quite a few Ubuntu players there. School of Excellence, there's Sundowns, Supersport, Chiefs, Pirates.
But I think we should also include Clapham. Have you seen players who are coming out of Clapham?
No, I mean, Clapham is a Sundown structure, and they affiliated to Sundown. So naturally, obviously, you can see
you'll have those.
They must have those. But even the Clapham structure, where are those? Like a lot. You look at Mabena. Where is he from? Letlaku, where is he from? Mofokeng, where is he from?
School of Excellence.
Ntando Nkosi, where is he from?
Khulwana.
I mean, the list is endless. Do you understand? And so those kind of structures, why can't we replicate? We look at those structures and see what they're doing. Clearly, they're producing talent, so they must be doing something right. So shouldn't that be the prototype to now take and have a school of excellence in every province? Why is there one school of excellence? Why don't we have 9? Why don't we have 1 in each province? You know, it seems like it's not rocket science. Clearly, they're doing something right. Let's replicate that structure in every single province. The pool of talent, again, we speak about will rise exponentially. So, again, it's easier said than done, and it's easy for me to talk like this, but we all are part of the system, and we all need to make a difference where we can. But I think it starts with making a clear decision that this is what we're going to do, this is how we go about it, and put a plan in place. It's not rocket science, and so it's there and it needs to be done.
Last one, on a lighter note, you are given 7 players. They say to you, these are 7 players who are unknown.
Wow.
Then you will have a choice of choosing 5 players from the DSTV Premiership, Diski Challenge. Choose 5 players. Which players are you bringing on to your team?
What do you mean when you say?
You are given players. You've got a team now.
Okay.
This is a team.
Yeah.
So you have been given 7 players.
Sure.
Then you'll have to pick up 5 from the Betway Premiership and the DSTV Diski Challenge. Pick 5 players.
My 5 favorite players.
Yes.
Wow, that's a tough one. It's a really, really tough one.
Looks like you've got a number of players in your mind.
There's too many. The thing is, let me say this to you.
Okay.
I'm going to choose one player. I'm going to only choose one player. And I'm going to say it's probably, how do I say it? the highest potential player I feel in the country, a player I believe I think he could have been Yaya Toure.
Who's
Same.
that? Who is that?
His ability on and off the ball, his physicality, he had everything. He has everything. I think Sipho Mbule.
Wow.
Sipho Mbule, I've been analyzing football matches for SABC for quite a while now. And when I look at the players over that period that I've gotten to watch and evaluate and whatever, I absolutely love Sipho Mbule. And I think in terms of his potential and his ability, he's probably, I think, the highest potential player in the country. He has everything. And I believe he could literally be Yaya Toure reincarnated. He's got everything Yaya had.
He looks like he's enjoying himself big time.
And that's why I'm happy he's playing regular football again. But I believe that he has everything that Yaya Toure had: pace, power, skill. He can finish. He can defensively. He's solid. He can work both ways. Absolutely phenomenal player, and probably the player if I could get my hands on one player,
just that player,
it would be that guy.
But is there a player whom you think is underrated, but he's a big player, he's a good player, but underrated? Less is said about that player.
Again, there's no one that springs to mind right now. I can't think off the bat. There's no one I can say just jumps off the page. There's so much talent in this country. I could speak for days about the talent in this country. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. There's no one that just jumps off at the top of my head right now.
No, thanks, man, for speaking to us. And it's always great to meet in such tournaments. It's COSAFA under 17. Surely you must be impressed.
Nah, for sure. I mean, again, credit must be given, I think, to the technical director, Bra Walter. I think he's done a phenomenal job in preparing this team. This team has been together since under 15 level. The foresight that has gone into preparing them to get to this level, I think, has been phenomenal. Coach Vela is doing an awesome job with his technical team. So kudos to them. We're headed in the right direction. And so just credit to these gentlemen. And it's a breath of fresh air to see our teams competing the way they should and dominating the other nations. I guarantee you a few years ago, some of these games we've played where we've dominated would have been really scrappy. And so you have to give credit where it's due. And so well done to the technical team, to the technical director and the coaches and everyone involved in the process. I think they're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you so much, Pramak.
Appreciate it, sir.
Sure.